Yeah, that's the truth. If you can communicate with him to understand that, okay, I am going on the fasting and I'm going to take this length of time, but within this period of time that I'm fasting, we can come together within maybe once, twice a week, or once a week, or twice in, you know, you come to an agreement with him, it will be better. But if you want to just go about the fasting anyhow, it will be difficult.
Yeah, very difficult there, Mr. Asanji. Yvette, I was going to ask you this question. You said many persons are now respecting the 21 days fasting. Yes. Others are moving into 30 days fasting and 40 days. As a woman who is very committed to the church, when you're fasting, physically you are also weakened, which means that there are some activities in the home that you may not be able to engage in. And how do we come to an understanding with that?
It's like more of Pentecostalism doesn't favor married people per se when it comes to the area of fasting. Mm-hmm. I say so because the Bible describes how fasting should be done, and it's describing it that it should be done for a very short time, not a long time. In 1 Corinthians chapter 7, it's very clear. It's talking about, you know, your body belongs to your husband, and your husband's body belongs to you as the wife. It said, no one of you should deprive your husband for any reason, except for the sake of that you may take up a spiritual time to wait on the Lord. And immediately after that, you come back, so that the devil should not have grounds. This particular long fasting, in most cases, have thrown so many men to the streets. Because if you stay for 21 days, the man will accept quite all right. But the temptations and the seductions that are out there may not permit him to wait till that time, especially if you are involved and the man is not involved in it. Most men don't like fasting. Most men don't like fasting. It's mostly the women that like fasting. Now, you fast for 21 days, and when you finish, you say you don't get strength. You don't get strength. Maybe the man
you get a balance.
Maybe you balance yourself. You won't get yourself. And then the man also wants to touch you. It is always a problem, because during that period you get so angry. You say, "Get thee behind me, Satan." And some of you practically leave your home and go and stay in the church during those periods. You begin to spend most of your evenings and sleep in the church in the name of prayer, and so on and so forth. It's a good thing. Do I discourage fasting or long fastings and all the like? I don't discourage them. But I said rather it doesn't favor married people to an extent, because like Madam Asanji is trying to talk about a break. You cannot be having 7 days fasting and you want to take a break. A man should come and then have sex and then you continue again. But the truth about it is that having sex when you're fasting is not carnal. It's not ungodly. But it has a role it plays which is not positive to the person that is fasting. Mm-hmm. It has a role. It weakens your spiritual capacity, strength. You know, you see yourself somehow that maybe you didn't do what was right. But I want to say that it is spiritual to have sex with your wife or your husband at all times. It is spiritual. Mm-hmm. But I don't know why the Bible decided to say it, that you should, take some time off for the sake of spirituality. It means that because there are times that in Israel, when God was calling for fasting, he says, sanctify yourself and everything. You see, nobody should sleep with the wife. Nobody should have anything to do with sex or whatever during those days of sanctification. But how do you cope with that? 21 days, you keep a man for 21, 20,
But the trick here is you may go for 21 days, which is this January, and then you take 1-2 weeks to balance up, and then boom, there's another big program in church to prepare for.
Many programs they are going to be, because that fasting like that is to empower the church for the next program. The man of God will usually put 1 week revival.
Yes.
So that because there is power during that time in the church. There's a lot of power.
You have to prepare yourself. Let the spiritual antenna be alive.
Be alive. It's like you are saying all those things so well, because that's what is really happening in the church today. I don't know what is really happening, but we take it and we laugh over it, but people are dying. Our pastors should be able to see this. It is true. During those programs, money comes into the church. During those programs, you're able to pay your rents, you're able to meet your house rents and pay fees for children. But the truth about it is that you are doing it at the expense of so many other things, because married women are suffering.
Okay.
Married women.
Good evening, Mr. Liu and all in the studio. I am happy to be following you guys with an educative talk to us married people. Wobenyi is writing from Manjo. Good evening to you, Wobenyi. This one says, good evening, Mr. Liu. Going to the building of worship does not make you Christian. Women who look the pastor more than her husband is not a Christian. Good evening, Mr. Liu. Is Prince Bile writing from Germany. This man of God issue is causing more problems in marriages than keeping them together. We have to understand that marriage is a school that people go in and never graduate. It's an everlasting learning process. So men of God are no example to emulate, because they tend to poison the minds of most women, both married and single. Good evening, Mr. Liu. By most is Fabel. Not too clear. Known all Cameroonian mostly from. Please, Mr. Liu, can I call to chip in? Okay. We can't take calls, please. Mr. Liu, check all the men of God in Africa. They may be not graduates, but after reading a following, some practicing and use this Bible would tend to confuse Africa, not to understand their existence on planet Earth. Okay. Good evening, Mr. Liu, and you all in the house. I'm Cindy from Douala. I like your program. It's very educative. Most women now don't respect or care for their husbands anymore because of Christianity. And the pastors and leaders see nothing wrong with it. Rather, some go as far as impregnating people's wives with no fear. It's very bad. Okay, the church no longer teach good manners. Should married women be included in church programs more often? Lionel is writing from Manfe. Reverend, the organized program, should married women be there all the time?
This issue, as I've said, if we want to take a formula that cuts across the board, will be misleading our viewers, and that is going to be a kind of thought line which will not help us very much.
If the husband is comfortable with it?
The aspect is not even only about husband being comfortable, because there are some men who are nonchalant.
Okay.
Whether he come back or whether he not come back, they are there. Whether there are some men who, in fact, whether their wives are going or going, they don't really have that authority to talk or to say anything. But what I'm saying in essence is that somebody is a married woman does not mean that the person too should not serve God. What we are saying is that people should avoid excesses or things that significantly, I want to insist on this word, significantly overlap with their role as mothers and wives. Yes, we should just avoid such excesses, both in terms of the church leader, in terms of the woman. There are a member of our church told me a story. Say she got to one church and a woman kept coming every morning. So one day the pastor came and said, "Why do you always come and sit in the church for morning?" He said, "You sit down la maison de mon père." No, see, pastor warned her that never come here again. Go and look for something to be doing, which is right. But now it's like the way some of our viewers are coming across is like all church leaders carry the blame. We are talking about some women also who, one, maybe the home is not very conducive for them. They think the place to come and spend their time all the time is in church.
Distraction.
Which is, yes, to distract themselves. We have some women also who have just unnecessarily become members of this group. They are intercessor, they are in the choir, they are usher, they are all of it put together. So as a pastor, you view such and you'll be able to orientate them that looking at your involvement in the church, in the teams of the church, you won't be efficient back at home. So better look at areas where you can serve and not, be everywhere present. To say somebody is married, the person should also serve God. Yes, but our viewers should agree with us and not also just draw the lines that it is something very bad that married women should not participate. At least they should serve God.
They should serve God.
They should serve God, but at least there should be moderation in everything we're doing. That's actually what we're driving across.
Okay, we are coming right back after this short break.
Gagner la canne, ça ne s'explique pas. On peut se raconter des histoires, se prendre pour des pharaons, se sentir fort, invincible même, à tort ou à raison. Panthère, aigle, éléphant, indomptable ou pas, tout le monde vient ici pour sacrer son roi. On pourrait en parler pendant des heures. Mais gagner la canne, ça ne s'explique pas. Ça se vit.
Only Canal Plus brings you the heart of the African Cup of Nations. Right now, enjoy 15 days of free access offered to all of Canal Plus at your resubscription.
Welcome back. You're watching Prime on My Media Prime, and this evening we are looking at committed women in church and how they can balance their life in church as well as taking care of their homes. Apostle Alfred Esingei, do you think that in preaching the gospel, some men of God should also teach these mothers who are there almost every day on what it takes to take care of their husbands and their homes?
Yes, it's really disheartening that even the issue of marriage is like kept aside for a particular period of time. Many a times marriage seminars are very few. We don't really teach the women, we don't teach them, and sometimes it is the women that teach the women. I used to say that is wrong. It's rather the men that should teach the women, because men know better what they want than what women can tell another woman to do. Because most women who teach men are just emotional. They may not understand what the man actually wants out of a particular situation in marriage. Yes, so the men, especially the pastor, should take upon themselves to continuously teach the women about marriage. Now, you teach them because most of these women who really want to run, you know, it's rather unfortunate. I use these things, I like to always be very frank about the approach which I said I look at it. Most of these women who serve in the church continuously have character problems, most of them. And it's they don't listen to their husbands, they are always quarreling with the husband, so they find solace in the church. They just go there and then they serve in the church. And some of them, if you get close to them in the church, you will discover it. Very arrogant. They can really talk to you very bad in the church. You need to see how some of these women talk to, you know, they are the ones to do this, especially when they are close to daddy. You know, it's like they are the final say. If they say it, daddy will back them. There's nothing that anybody can do, provided daddy has visa that they're the ones leading all these things. So most of them have character problems. If you check clearly, as I'm talking now like this, pastors, go back to your churches and look at it. Most of the women that are coming to church constantly and dedicated to church always, who don't give attention to their homes, have character problems. Most. You will see most of the humble women who love God so much, they pay so much attention to their husbands. They pay so much attention to their children, and they also make sure that they balance it with their spiritual activities. They don't stay away from services, but they don't also make it in such a way that the people at home are hurt That is what we also call, even in the companies and where people work, they call it multitasking. You must learn to multitask as a married woman. You must learn to work at home and also work in the church if you really love both of them, because those are areas that you cannot deny. That while you are hunting for your spiritual life, you should also hunt for your marriage, because marriage is the only thing that Jesus used to compare the church, that Apostle Paul used to compare the church. He compared the church. Marriage is the only thing that Apostle Paul could use. So how come you could follow the church and you ignore marriage to the point where you don't have time for your husband, and the husband has to go to the point of complaining? Sometimes the husbands even come to church and complain. The pastor does nothing about it. The pastor just believes that it's persecution. The pastor just believes that, the man does not want you to serve the Lord. But the truth is that the truth is that woman must balance things at home. Pastors must teach. Women should teach. Elderly women in the church should teach the other younger women how to take care of their homes. That's what the Bible says. They should be able to take care of their homes. Take care of your homes. Let nobody take care of your husband more than you. Let nobody, I repeat, nobody take care of your husband more than you. And even your children, you should be able to get close to your children in such a way that they would feel your presence all the time. That's why you see some children don't want to serve God. They don't want to serve God because the way they see their parents doing things about God, abandoning them, not having time for them, and there are some even meetings that you want to go and you leave your children at home. You don't, your children, no, the meeting, a special meeting where they begin to go for that meeting, you keep them at home. And then finally, they are growing not knowing anything about God. They are growing not loving God. They are growing not want to follow God. They are growing not want to follow your way, and we begin to say the devil is wicked. The devil is not wicked. We are wicked because we don't spend time with our children and we don't educate them on some certain things. Even though we know that some people are very difficult. Unlike we are saying that though we say that some of these women treat their husbands badly, we also say that some men are not kind enough. They are not kind enough to treat their wives with love and care. There is a way you will treat your woman that she will not want to stay in church for long. There is a way you will treat your wife. The love you give to your wife and the concern and the provision you give to your wife will make her to always want to come back home. Want to spend time with you because the little time they have with you is stronger than what they get in the church. Yes. Now, the papa in the church has learned some things, has read some books about marriage, and when you come, he tells you more of what he has learned. But the practical life or the practical ministry is at home. It's at your own home, not what the papa even said. Because there are things that are happening in your home that the papa may not be able to understand. That's why you see a lot of people, you go for marital counseling, they use prayer to cover it. Okay? Yes.
Hi, Mr. Leo. Thank you for this sensitive and educative program. It is very good thing doing the work of God, but we shouldn't exaggerate. A woman cannot go to church, but should be very conscious of her marital duties and obligations. Some women spend day and night in church pretending to do God's work. I have a brother in Bafusam who has completely escaped and abandoned the wife and children for over 2 years because the wife brought her church members and beat the apostles. What you people are saying is true. We need to educate the church to limit the level of commitments they give to married women. Most pastors don't understand this. Asanji, okay? Okay. Yes. Most pastors don't understand this. I think it's in the group there. Mr. Liu, I don't think men of God are the problem, but us, because communication is lacking in the house for ease flowing of things around the house. For if we guide our shepherds, our women, and see if things will not change. Okay? I've noticed in all the talk of today why married women respect their men of God more than their husband is because the women do accept to take advice from their husbands that he knows not. Thanks. Okay, I don't understand what you are saying, please. Not too clear. Greetings, Mr. Leo. C'est bonsoir le plateau, très bon sujet. Je voudrais dire que la Bible a déjà traité tous les sujets de l'humanité et en particulier la place de la femme dans le foyer, la place de la femme dans l'église. Si nous avons bien lu et compris, les Saintes Écritures, aucune question ne se poserait. Maintenant, il faut admettre que beaucoup d'hommes de Dieu prêchent l'Église et non la parole de Dieu. Alors attention aux hommes de Dieu qui vous suivez. Merci. Okay, thank you to you. Greetings, Mr. Liu. The apostle says pastors should teach women the virtues that a man husband wants. Question: what can a pastor who is not having married experience teach? I am Brother Charles, writing from Yaoundé. Maybe the pastor he saw the parents grown up.
Pastors are trained people. That's why we say that a pastor should be trained. Okay. You may not have an experience in marriage, but you are trained in the Bible school how to manage your church. Okay, that's it.
Daisy, writing from Kumba, says, good evening, Mr. Liu, and to all the panelists. It's really not easy for married women to blend their home and church, especially when your husband is an unbeliever. To me, a married woman should try as much as possible to be submissive to her husband and pray for God to direct her on how to manage her home and church. Okay, Lista Montana, writing from Yaoundé, says, good evening, Mr. Liu and the panelists. I'm enjoying your program. Lista, extend our greetings to your mother out there in Yaoundé. This one says, should women pay more attention to their pastors than their husbands? I'm sure we answered that question already. They should pay more attention to their husbands, please. Good evening, Mr. Liu, and to you all in the studio. I'm happy following you in this particular program today. I think the issue today is based on time factor. 2 to 3 hours, I think, is enough so as to enable married women to manage their homes well, because I get to realize that many of our homes today are facing this particular issue. Hope the platform gets to educate our married men and women. Sly is writing from Ekondo Titi. Good evening to you, Sly. Good evening to everyone in the studio. I love the program. Please let Apostle Alfred prove that women fast more than men. Emma is writing from Kumba. God sees them. They're saying that God knows who does what.
They should prove. Yes. No, the proof is clear now. Go to church, it's mostly women that are in church. Now, how many men are in church? How many men do you see them in church? In most ministries, you see only women. So and when they put 21 days fasting, who fasts? It's the women mostly.
Because the men are not there.
The men are usually working hard. They are hard busy workers. They go, and during the day they are very busy. So most women have more time to fast than the men.
Okay. I hope you have that evidence, explanation. Yes, but one last question I would like both of you guys to look at is the place to solve problems. You have a daddy, you are so close to him or her, and then you have marital issues, and then you have your parents at home and your in-laws and the issues in the house. Where do you take the problem to?
Problems when you have problems at home.
Sometimes you may not take it to the people who don't have an understanding of marriage and relationship.
Exactly.
You may take it out of all those people. Because the fact that someone is a daddy in the Lord does not mean that he's a marriage counselor.
Okay.
You can be a very good daddy in the Lord for other things, but when it comes to marriage, you are not. Because we have seen so many good daddies, but their homes are a mess. Their children are a mess. So you go to them for counseling, what you may get is they may give you half truths, because they will not want to touch what also touches them. It's sometimes very hurting. But we are not trying to downplay on them, but we are saying that it's not every pastor must not know everything. There are people who are called specialists. Sometimes if you have a Christian in your church that has a marital problem and you know you are not good in marriage counseling, please look for your friend that is a good counselor. Send there. Even though sometimes some of these are friends that are very funny, they can convert you to come to their church or to exploit you. People are afraid of those things. But we are usually saying that don't take your problems to your parents. Don't carry your problems to your parents. They may not be able to take side with you. They may not be able to help you because they want to take side with you. And at the end of the day, it will become a problem. Don't take your problems to your parents. And if you look at your pastor and you see his past records of counseling in marriage, you see that it has not been fruitful. Please don't go there. I know of pastors who have encouraged divorce. They have told him, that man, from the way I see you for your day, they say, don't like you. That man no go fit survive the marriage. And then at the end of the day, what you see, she goes back and then you start seeing divorce. I've seen one church about 4 or 5 people divorced within 1-2 years. It's not a good thing. It's not a good thing, and then they are still in the church.
Okay. You think that the problem should be sorted out in the house? But if you are too close to your man of God, you'll be explaining most of your things to him, and you may be running your home from what the man of God says.
Yes.
Yes.
Unfortunately, that is what is happening.
Yes.
I think when it comes to the management of conflict within marital homes, the encouragement we always give couples is that begin by trying to sort it between yourselves, applying first and foremost the principle of dialogue. When there is something, try to clear your mind. Two of you talk over it, and in the course of talking over it, have the home, the interest of the home, the union, to be the priority. When you discuss over it and it can't go before you look for an objective third party that can bring his voice. As Apostle said, the challenge we have sometimes is that we go to the wrong people who, with their good intentions sometimes, they bring in ideas that become more toxic to the relationship because they are simply not good at the subject matter. So this aspect of having somebody, a satellite office somewhere that runs your home is very bad. Yes, agree on your things. And when two people get married, remember that the voice of every other person is advisory, not prescriptive. The person can come in to counsel you, people give you advice, which two of you can judge necessary to take or not to take, depending on what you also want. But to say that there is some almighty man of God somewhere who dictates and say, no, as this man did it. In fact, by the way, when I look in the realm of the spirit, I saw that he is not your husband. Prophetically, I see that this is not your husband. Those are some things that are spoiling homes today, which we don't advise. So we are saying that when you have a case, a challenging situation in your home, begin by solving it, both of you. Let some things not go beyond your bedroom. When the two of you talk about it, try to accept it is not going before you can now seek counsel from subject matter experts, not from just anybody, because the person is either your relative or the person. There are people who are married because sometimes we say, no, I want to go back to this couple because they have been married for 30 years. It will be 30 years of hell. 30 years. It will be 30 years of a failed relationship, which
they could be successful, but they cannot teach you.
The same, they could be who are successful,
but they cannot tell you how it happened.
Exactly.
So not everybody is a teacher.
Exactly. So there are times when you go, in fact, try to, and most often we advise that when people get married, they should have what you call accountability partners. You can have a couple, a trusted couple that you say you subject to, that when it comes, both of you go and say, talk to us. Yes, and it should be people whose marriage you admire. It should be people you believe, and sometimes prayerfully consider such. Let God lead your steps to people who can talk to you, people sometimes, and you listen to them and really get what they are talking to you. But if you want to say it's an issue of Papa, Mama, in this issue, it may not go, because at times, as Apostle said, Papa may not be the right person, or Daddy may not be the right person to talk to, to both of you. When
statistically, it has been proven.
It has been proven, seriously. But unfortunately, some men are still fighting. Though it's my daughter, I must speak, I must talk about it, which is not good.
Thank you, Apostle, for that answer. I think that there are elders in church who can handle that better. Lionel is writing from Manfi, but in bringing your matter to your man of God, you should also understand that the man of God will always seek his interest and that of the church now.
Yes.
Because some may be afraid that this sister may leave, and we know the implication.
We always get that at work, and I see a lot of pastors, they will want to favor the member. If the husband is not part of the church, they will want to favor the wife. Or if it is the husband that is part of the church, they want to favor the husband.
The brother in faith.
It is very common. It is emotional. This thing has to do with that tie that people have with each other. You carry your case and go there. That's why counselors are the best people I would want to prescribe. They are marriage counselors, spiritual marriage counselors, and also maybe social counselors. They are also being trained to carry people through therapies. There are some therapists they'll carry you through, like you see, like Madame Asanji in Bamenda there that is doing a very good work. If you follow her on Facebook, you see her. She's doing a very good work, and she has a place where she's doing in Bamenda. So when you have such things, please go there. Even though I know a lot of people they don't want to pay, they want everything for free.
Your Facebook page, I follow your Facebook page.
Yes.
Yes. I get lots of insight on issues that relate to marriage now.
We talk about those things. We try to call your attention so that you should see this. When it comes to marital issues, before I even got married, God had blessed me with the knowledge of issues. That's why I'm already getting into 17 years in marriage. You know, still pulling on, believing God for more 17 years that I had and many other things.
Okay.
So those things.
Good evening, Mr. Lu. The truth is we can't use physical or carnal principles to judge the spiritual. Everything with regards to family and church depends on the spiritual insight as well as the spirituality of the couples. Mutual consent is also of paramount importance. If both parties are Christians and participate in the programs like fasting, then there is actually no problem because they have an understanding. But when one party is still a babe in spiritual issues, then problems are bound to happen. Fasting must not be done only in church. You can do things and still follow church programs without actually being there. Another point with commitment depends on if there are nature children level of children in the house. Okay, mature children can complement in a lot of issues. Okay, you meant mature children. If you see a man standing against the wife's commitment, it's probably because of her character. If you've been going to church for years, yet your character gets worse, you grow in competing and talking to your husband, disrespecting him. There is no way he can hear any church thing and be in support. So many women are so committed in church, yet so disrespectful. No matter what a man or woman does, if he or she fails with family, she has failed with all. Family is first ministry. Tiku Felix is writing from Boya. He's raising a point here.
Very serious.
That the ministry that you want to serve out there should start at home.
See, I always insist on that. That's why my wife is one of my disciples here on this party. She follows everything we do here. Immediately she comes, she asks me, send the site. I'm communicating with her here. She's always following us. And even if she's not following it, she'll come back to the page and follow the program. She will make some adjustments where she needs to make some adjustments and all the like. Because of what? I want that what I'm teaching you is also practiced in my home. My children are watching what I teach. My friends, they see what I teach. Because at the end of the day, I may have some flaws. That's quite all right. I may have some flaws. But you should be able to do that. You don't tell me you're a Christian woman and you go to church every other day and then nothing is reflecting in your life. You are still very arrogant. You are still very snobbish. You don't have time to take care of your own self. You know, at home you throw yourself, but when you go to church, you are clean or you look so beautiful and everything. That's what is really disturbing.
The first ministry is the home.
And we still insist and we're calling on our pastors. It is our duty to educate these women. Because it is true, you enjoy the fact that every day you call a program, they are there in the church for your own favor. But their homes are being destroyed. And when they come tomorrow, you want to begin to use spirituality and prayer. You want to pray for the team. Let us fight. Let us take 3 days fasting and everything. It is not 3 days fasting. Let them change their characters and their behaviors. Let them change their attitudes.
Okay.
Things will just work like magic.
Very true.
You say you are putting 3 days fasting for something a woman is quarreling the husband every day.
But he raised a very good point. Imagine a wife who is very loving, forgiving and everything, and the husband knows that this character is being formed
from the church.
We have men who come and drop their wives off.
They come and drop at the church.
They come and
children
and greet. Say, Pastor, on a morning.
Yes.
Okay. Bye bye. Okay.
Sometimes they even drop offering
and give offering. Yes. They do and give and go. So that's why I said if we want to approach this particular situation with a one-size-fits-all kind of ideology, we'll be missing out on the point. There are cases that, as we're saying, the man will be the one to say, when I not go church today, please, people should go now, because he is seeing tangible fruit of the wife's commitment to church. Yeah, because as I said, you can't also refuse the fact that the church is not molding people, molding character in people.
The church is doing the work quite all right. Yes.
Yeah. So we're only saying that there's supposed to be a moderation. Yeah, because when most often, as I started saying this thing and I did not complete it. Most often, when a Christian or a person, be it a man or a woman, is supposedly influenced negatively or manipulated by a man of God, I blame the person also, because the word of God is open to all of us. The Bible shows us that when Jesus Christ cried on the cross that it is finished, the veil in the temple tore, giving everybody access to the most holy place, that you can also approach God. You can also, by the Spirit of God, discern the things that are supposed to be done. So there are things at times that some people also get engulfed in them because they had selfish motives from the onset.
Okay. Good evening, Mr. Liu. Times when some married women don't get involved in church activities, some pastors would term them not spiritual, thus causing some women to start involving in all church activities so as to please the Papa in the Lord. Great program. Brent is writing from Bomenda. I'm sure we talked about that.
Yes.
Some engage in these activities because they want Papa to see them as.
Right now, so some pastors are offended with what we are doing here now. They think that they are not forcing the people. The people are not telling them the program. Now, a pastor is like a god to Christians. That's what people should understand. Sometimes Christians really know that they have a challenge, but they can't tell you because they admire you, they honor you, they respect you. It is you who is supposed to identify and try to know their needs and talk to them.
Okay.
Yes. It's you.
I would like to also say that men of God should always try to caution their Christians women in church, because if you notice a particular woman who is always involved in all church activities from morning to evening, then there should be a problem with the woman, or the other women don't yet know her identity in Christ. You don't just do things in church and forget about your home, even if the man is a Christian. He must get angry one day because of your overcommitment without looking at your first ministry, which is your home. Thanks. Brent is writing from Amanda. Yes, Brent is also raising the issue of the first ministry, which is the home. Good evening, Mr. Liu. I love your program, but have a situation. I gave my wife to be a huge sum of money for purpose of getting married with that, but after the money has misplaced, and now she's blaming me that I don't want to get married to her and I don't have a good job. Now please advise me. Tabak is writing from Trebi and we have 2 kids. Yes, Tabak, can you just write to me after the program? I will give you a number of one of the counselors and you talk with them. Good evening, Prime R. Marriage is all about personal experience, not counseling from other experience. You have a solution to your marriage. Anthony is writing from Kumba. Thanks.
That's an exchange.
Yes. Okay, this one was taken already. The best way to manage marital issues is for both of you to sit and dialogue as one body, one flesh and one spirit. Stop introducing third parties because they will never help you. Elvis is writing from Limbe. Wow. Good evening, Mr. Liu. What an interesting program. I and my lovely wife, Claudine, are in a stagnant position enjoying the program. Mr. Liu, please, my regards to all the panelists in the studio. Sir Atashiri Oris, writing from Bamendankwe. Okay, good evening to you people up station. Good evening, Mr. Liu. I'm Dave from Boya. My own ideal is that do not solve laziness with prayer. If you don't work hard, you will spend the rest of your life in church shouting, I receive. Okay? Yes, we should all work hard, but we should also pray. Good evening, Mr. Liu. Please tell Apostle that as some pastors are good in counseling, so are some parents. So better still, they should try and solve it by themselves. Judunen is writing from Douala. Good evening to you. God gifts. Mr. Leo, what I have noticed in all the talk of today, why marriage women respect their men of God more than their husband is because the women don't accept to take advice from their husbands that he knows not. Okay? Yeah. You think that the pastor is more knowledgeable than your husband?
In most cases, well, that's their domain. It's like you go to an expert in most cases. But you know that people should be able to also understand that of late, most pastors did not go for any training.
Okay.
They didn't learn anything. All what they know is anointing, power, flow, move. Now, that kind of a person cannot teach you much. But we also accept that there are pastors who have been trained, you know, like our Apostle Ambe, who just had his doctoral degree in this whole thing, is getting more knowledge on so many things. So you, those kind of people, you go closer, they'll be able to help you from a lot of.
But we should also understand that not every man of God is gifted in
certain things of marriage, especially marriage. Especially marriage is very complicated.
Hello, Mr. Liu. Is Queenette writing from Kumba. I really love your program. Thank you very much, Queenette, writing there from Kumba. Now, we are going to be moving on to our second topic for tonight, which has to do with planning for the year. We are in January. The year is going to be ending by December. We know that almost everybody plans for Christmas and New Year. Do we really plan for the year? We are going to start this segment of the program with Mr. Asanji Yvette from Bamenda.
So, Mr. Liu, it's very important that families create time to plan the year together. It's okay for couples to have their individual goals, goals that they want to achieve individually, as well as they could have a family goal they want to achieve as a team. There's biodiversity in marriage. The fact that you are married to somebody doesn't mean there are some things that you can also pursue as just being you. Your husband must not be involved, your wife must not always be involved. You might have goals. For example, you might have even spiritual goals that you want to attain. That could be you. So in as much as couples might have individual goals, they should equally have a family goal. Now, should in case, let's say they have even the individual goals, communicate it with your spouse. Let your spouse know that this is what you are planning for the year. There might be of assistance, of course. They might be there to help you, remind you of some things. So it's very important, whether a family goal or an individual goal to attain. Couples should communicate. They should sit down to plan. They should sit down to plan. It's very important. And when you plan your goals, when you set your goals, remember to put time. If you don't put a time limit to it, know that the year might even finish without you doing it. Especially for people that have weaknesses of procrastinating. So set a time standard, a time limit that before this time. So once you set the goal, you set the time, you set an action plan. If you are planning to raise $1 million francs in 2022, when is the latest day that 1 million should have been in your account? How will you raise that money? Will you have to be saving 500 francs? Will you have to be saving 1,000? Will you have to be saving? You have to put all of this in place. And where will the money come from? You need to work this, you need to do that, you need to do that. So it is very important that couples have a plan of action for the year. That will help to guide them. If they don't have a plan, they'll just realize that they have wasted the year. The year has gone and they have not achieved anything. And that's how most people live. They believe that marriage is just coming together and just living, putting to bed children. But there is more to it. Have plans that guides your family.
Okay, we are looking at what it takes to walk through the year 2022. We have persons who actually sit down. The wife tells you that I need a Christmas dress, the children need shoes and the like. Do we really also sit and plan for the year?
Yes, like I always say that planning, it's a very wonderful thing. If you fail to plan, you're planning to fail. That's what is always there. But unfortunately, most couples don't plan as per se couples. The husband has his own plan and the wife has their own plan. That's exactly. And most of the times they plan according to their sources of income and they plan according to how they raise their own family. It's in few cases that you see husband and wife put their plans together and face it and pursue it. It's in few cases. Most cases, the husband is the one that has the bulk of money. So he does not want to come and begin to do a plan with the wife. So he obviously just keeps it and dodge it. And then before you discover, the wife is also doing her own small things. And you know, the whole of the year, it's like abracadabra, that kind of a thing that you see people are just doing anyhow to find some things. Now, some people have bigger projects and some people have smaller projects. While saying that, I always tell people, don't hide money from the other. They will be thinking that you have money while you don't have. That's what we think. Don't hide money. If you have a source of income and they know that this is your source of income, don't hide that money. Bring it out and make sure that there is a plan on that money. Sometimes if you really want to even spend some loose money, spend the other kind of money that comes in that there is no clear source of, clear understanding of the source of income. Because if a source of income is already known and you decide not to plan with the other person, they'll be assuming that you have money while you don't have. Even when that money is already spent, they'll still be thinking that you have money. And that's what is destroying a lot of homes today. They don't come to the table to plan. And the man claims that he's the one having a salary that is big, and he doesn't tell the wife about how he's planning things to do. All of it, he say, "I the plan for be has, the plan for be has." But the woman now, okay, when my husband is planning to be has, it means that he has much money. So the woman will still be giving demands and putting. You see, the man will be angry and say, "I have told you that I'm planning to be house, and you are still asking for other things." The woman say, "But you have not told me how much you have that you are planning to do, so that I will know that the money you are using for the building is small." Because you cannot be planning for a building and then leave the house to suffer to a particular extent. It is also not good. Like some people who decide to save, they say they want to save much. You are earning 30,000 francs and you want to save 20,000 francs. It is really out of place. You shouldn't go to that extent, because you will be straining a lot of things. And then you finally see yourself, you'll not be able to meet up with your demand. While it is, they say, save something from your money, to an extent also don't save more than what you should save. Because if you save like that, the home will suffer at the end of the day. We have seen that, especially at the level of the church. We are trying to talk about this issue of women getting dedicated to the church. Most of them are in the churches now. A lot of contributions have already been put in the church. Those contributions, it's not the husband that will give that money. They should be able to look for how to give the money. Women, they have to sew new uniform. They have to buy this, they have to buy that, they have to buy that. We have said all these things are found in the church. Contributions and contributions and contributions. They are contributing in the usher group, they are contributing in the women's group, they are contributing in the protocol group, they are contributing in the intercession group, and that woman is part of all of those things. There's bound to be a problem. When it comes to planification, you cannot come and say that you have contribution for all these things. You will not be able to say it. You will just want the husband to just, go ahead and do the things. And while you get your own small money, you go and pay contributions in the church, and you don't bring them back at home. Yes, you pay contributions in the church because there are so many. You are afraid to even tell your husband because they're plenty. 10,000 for women's group, 15,000, and sometimes the amount of money that they give in such groups is very high. Sometimes in the church I came and they told some women that they should give 10,000. I was angry. I said, who do you see here that can be giving that kind of, even if they have to give, it is too much. Let's try to see how we can reduce this money and look for other ways that they can raise money to solve some of these problems. Why do so many people run away from church? They have made so many demands, so many vows, and so many commitments, they cannot meet up. What happens? They run away from church. And then when it comes to planning at home, you are paralyzed, because this little money you have contributed, believing God that there's something that's going to do. Your man of God tells you that little you have in your pocket, dump it in the church. Women do that. They come to the church and give almost everything they have, and they go back home. How do you want to plan? You want to plan with what? Your husband, he wants to talk, you bullshit the husband or you blast the husband. I'm trying to tie this second topic with what we are talking on.
Is it not kingdom investment?
It is kingdom investments, no doubt. But this thing is supposed to be out of plan. They should be able to keep something to say that, okay, after removing your tithe, you should be able to remove your arms. It is in the arms that you begin to do the planification of contributions or this. In the arms, we'll be contributing to the widow group. We'll be giving offering from here. We'll be doing this and this and this. That is how it's supposed to work. But now you go and give everything you're supposed to give in the church. Then finally, you and your husband cannot die. I'm saying this, I'm also a pastor. I know these things. I've been pastoring for many years and I've seen some things.
Okay.
Women suffer at home because of what? They are not coordinated to know how to manage certain things. So the man decides to take the plan alone.
Okay. Mr. Liu, I love today's topic, my dear men of God. The church is seriously not solving society issues, thus creating more problems in marital homes. What are pastors who keep married women the whole day or a week in the church thinking house is being in church one of the marital duty? What is a man of God who a married woman treats her more than her own husband thinking? Please, men of God, let us put things right. The society is counting on us. Many Christians and would-be Christians are being discouraged every day. I saw a shocking situation. A man of God encouraged a married woman to divorce the husband. Please, men of God, let's help our society. And Brother Charles, writing from Yaoundé, a woman who knows what marriage is in her heart before entering into it, marriage knows what is right and what is wrong. Okay. Good evening, Mr. Liu and the apostles. I think some of these issues in marriage is because people sometimes get married to partners they don't really love, thinking that the love will grow with time. Where there is real love, it takes little sacrifice and wisdom to solve a lot of problems. Paul is writing from Yaoundé. Good evening to you, Paul. Apostle, no, I will not read this one. Yes, Reverend. Now, we are looking at planning. Should a man and the wife, since it is mostly the wives who make proposals, should women not start knowing that from January they should sit their husbands down and say the next three months we must achieve this. By July we should be here. By August we should not be in this quarter. The quarter may not be too nice. By this time the children, isn't that what we should? Because seemingly these things are just coming up.
Yeah, I think the issue here has to do much with the couple, not only with the women. But it's true. In my belief, I know that the true managers of the home are the women. They're the ones who understand the nitty-gritties and all the corners in the home, and they're the ones who can.
But will the husband allow them to manage?
That is the issue now. So I was trying to say that planning even is supposed to be something they do before December. The plan is supposed to go effective 1st January. But now I have this little reservation. A plan without a commitment to its realization is important, honestly, because a plan is not an end in itself. When people plan, there must be this commitment to see that the things are, realized. They have a kind of commitment to see, and it's good to plan for the year. Take for instance, if part of the plan is the budget, which is one of the key aspects. You've planned the resources and used, but if along the line some seemingly very urgent lines of action keep coming and sapping the resources from the things that you planned on serious issues, it becomes a problem. So it is good to avoid having a plan just for the sake of having a plan, to having a plan that the two are committed to its realization. Planning is very good, because I wonder how a couple will evaluate their, take for granted 2021 that just ended. How will you really evaluate the year?
Yeah, the follow-up question to that is, we are planning for 2022. Should we not all, as couples, sit down with the wives, the husband sitting down with the wives, and taking stock of how 2021 came through, and looking at why we could not meet the plans of last year? Maybe we concentrate more on going for Kraidai, just going for one Kraidai and coming back. Maybe in a year you may go to the village and back 10 times. You calculate all of that and look at those activities that are sapping resources like you say, and decide this year that, okay, we are taking a firm commitment to look into them.
Yes, Mr. Liu, I think a good budget should emerge from a plan of action. And it has to do with the evaluation, as you say. It will be wrong to just, dive into planning for the ensuing year without having at least a retrospection to the year that just ended to see how you performed. Evaluation is very capital. When you evaluate and see that everything, did not really tie to the plan for these trivial reasons, like some of the ones you are raising, you'll be able to do some adjustments and say, okay, going forward, we are going to tighten this area of our lives, we're going to tighten this other one in order to be able to realize our plans for the year that is upcoming. So most often, I think what disturbs many couples is ignorance. They are ignorant to the importance of having a plan. Especially within the Christian folk, there are some people who believe in the leading of the Holy Spirit. They say, no, the Spirit is going to lead our steps, that the sons of God are led by the Spirit or something. That is not a good mindset. It is always good to have a plan, even if you have a plan and the Holy Spirit is showing you to deviate from the plan. At least you would have had a plan already. And most especially when you prayerfully plan, most of the things you plan would have been planned under divine leadership, and it will help you to be able to realize them. The Spirit of God is going to fuel the efforts and be able to do so. Planning is very important. I believe in the attractive force that planning has. There are some things that when you allow them to be blowing in the wind, scarcely will they come your way, will they attract resources. But when you plan and say, this year, as a couple, we're going to build our house, we're going to acquire a piece of land, there is a way those resources, as you're working towards it, the commitment will get these resources come to us, and you'll be able to also redirect and concentrate your energy on it. You will not allow your energy and your effort to be spread over the things that come your way. I always believe that not everything that appears very urgent is actually relevant. Urgency is not a test of relevance. There are some things that may be so urgent, but their use or their relevance for that particular year is not good. Take for instance, sometimes when people take, they put in place, let's say, a plan for them to acquire a car within the year, a plan to construct a house, a plan to send a child abroad, a plan to, maybe to go into some agricultural project. These plans may be too big to be handled within 1 year. So you now go into the law of prioritization. You prioritize this one, that this one should come before this one, and if there are still resources, you can now go into handling this other one. I believe this, Mr. Liu, and I want to say it emphatically. I believe more in joint management of resources within the ambit of a couple.
Good.
Couple life is better when resources are managed together. I used to say that when you have things together as sacred as sex, is it money that you think you should not manage together? So those financial and material resources are best. It's true every couple has what works for them, but in my humble opinion, the best formula is joint management of material and financial resources. Why? This formula also has a way of building a marital bond. Imagine, that my wife earns this, my husband earns this, we bring it together, we talk on it, we say, okay, this is how we're going to handle. It will go a long way to help this situation where Apostle raised, that at times you keep people under suspense. You are like, this man, the way he always, he's so hardworking in his office, maybe he earns about 1 million, of which the man is barely earning 300,000. So the suspicion, you keep people suspended, and you don't know. So it begins to when the man is doing his best to meet the needs he can meet, the woman is like, he's not yet doing as much as he could do. So this planning together is very important, and managing resources together is very important. Okay. And I must repeat that commitment to a plan is key. Okay. Else the plan will be important. It will be wishful thinking.
Good evening to all in the studio. Nice topic, especially with the timing. Planning gives a sense of direction in every aspect of life. It gives you a focus, and it shapes your mind and prepares you for what it takes to achieve what you want. Aligned to the above, I see a very big yes that couples need to plan for the year. It builds and grows teamwork, trust, and most especially growth in the lives of the couples. It sets the foundation for proper budgeting and a lot more. So yes, it is very necessary for couples to plan for the year. Thanks, Mrs. Leke, relationship coach and marriage mentor. Good evening to you, Mrs. Teke. Glad to read from you. Apostle, what should the year has started already? Is it too late to get to planning? And how do we put feasible plans? And what are the steps that should follow to make sure that we are respecting the plan? Because I'm talking about monitoring and evaluating what we are doing, so that by the end of by December we should be able to trace what we've been able to achieve and possibly look at 2023.
Yes, normally when we talk about plan, we are not saying that it should be static or it should be rigid. You can plan some things and other things come in the middle. For example, when you lost people in your family and other things, and then you had planned some other things, certain things come in the middle. One of the first things you should consider is, what plan did we make in 2021? And how did we accomplish them? Did we accomplish the plans? And if we did not accomplish them, we should be looking at how to bring some of those plans back to 2022. And sometimes some years may not favor the plan we had for 2021. For example, people who planned some things in 2020, when Corona came, it had to distort a lot of things, and they moved it to 2021 and realized that they could not still catch it up. 2022 can also be another favorable zone for you to also put some of those plans. But unfortunately, as time goes, technology changes, things change, and many other things change. The land you wanted to buy for 2 million in 2020, that land now you go and price it, it will be about 5 million and something like that, and going on, because land appreciates. Some of the things you wanted to do in 2020, before you want to come to 2022, you realize that prices have increased and many other things. So what do? You adjust to the growing trend, adjust to it very fast. And sometimes you may be able to put away some of those plans because they are cumbersome. Never make plans that you cannot realize them. Some of those plans are very big for nothing. They are very bogus. You cannot say that in this year we want to build one full house and there's just your source of income cannot really go to that, and you're believing God that miracles will happen, somebody will give you money and you will build house. It is good to make your plans to be realistic, achievable, something you can be able to get them at a very closer range. Now, my wife asked me something about plan. So what's your plan for this year? She said, what's your plan for this year? I was like, I looked into it, I looked at 2021, and there are so many things that I was supposed to achieve in 2021. I didn't achieve them. So I didn't make any new plans. I have to just see how I can start going back to the ones of 2021 to begin to look into them. All right. For example, the theme for our church last year, our ministry last year was given to us to focus. I realized that on one point in time we lose focus and so many things. So this year I was trying to still pray. Then focus still came again to my spirit so strong that you continue on what you were supposed to do. Now, God does not work in years. God works in times and seasons. He works in times and seasons. You may be thinking that a particular time has passed or a particular season has passed because a year has changed, but you don't know that a season still continues. Follow those seasons. So you'll be planning according to seasons. You'll be planning according to times. Planning according to this. Okay, what if you did not plan for a child to come in and you happen that your wife is pregnant? You have to just adjust your plan to start planning for what? Preparing for the coming of a child, so that you don't get embarrassed on the way. A lot of couples have found themselves in this embarrassing situation. They don't know what to do. You think that maybe your wife is not fertile at this period, and then only for you to discover that You know, she's pregnant. What happens? You're embarrassed. This house you were planning to build, or this car you were planning to buy, now you're supposed to reduce some of that money to start planning for the coming of a child. Especially if your wife has that kind of pregnancy that is always disturbing, you have to be running to the hospital and all those things. Some of those plans will be altered. But however, there must be a plan. Those plans are serving as a guide.
Yeah.
They are guiding you. They should not be static. Those days it must be rigid. I made plan last year and not fulfill them. So because of that, you don't want to make plans again this year. No. Keep on going on. If at all some of those plans were very, very important last year, bring them to this new year and see how you can go about with them. But I still insist, those are only a guide, because new things will be coming into the year. You can have an opportunity, somebody is selling a house somewhere, and you divert that money now and buy the house. Somebody may be selling a car at a very cheap rate that you think you can buy the car and also sell it. You can divert that money for something. So many things can come in between our plans. Many things can come in between our plans. What about fire disaster? Some disasters can happen, eventualities that you did not plan for. They can happen, and some of your plans are altered. But it doesn't stop you that you mustn't do your plans and go ahead and this thing. One of the things that should be faced, that should be found in your plan, is how you should make your wife happy for the year. What are some of the things you want to make your wife happy? How you should make your husband happy? How you should make your children happy? Because it is those people, when they are happy, they can achieve the other greater things. But when people are sad, they cannot achieve great things.
Exactly.
Okay. Good evening, Mr. Leo. And it's really necessary for couples to plan before the start of the year. Joint resources will enable the couples to manage and come up with good ideas from non-Allah. Okay. Hi, crew. Good evening. The program going on is a good one. However, truth is that believers must seek the face of God and trust only God without leaning on their own understanding, according to Proverbs 3:5. After, must remember thereafter that everything works for good for all that love and trust God. Romans 18:28 says, so we must ask God's direction in everything that we do or want to do. Thanks for this educative program. God bless you. God bless you too. This one says, a good and committed Christian woman should also be a good wife, because home building is what God wants Christians to do. So if a Christian woman pays more attention to church programs than her home, then she has a problem. And if a man of God is in support of that, then the man of God has a problem as well. By Pastor Lawrence, writing from Conjure. Good evening to you, Pastor. Hello, Mr. Leo. Is it proper for a pastor to call a man of a married woman who worships in same church with her husband and tell her that her husband is womanizing, instead of telling the man? Kingsley, writing from Tico. Okay, the pastor is telling the woman that her husband is womanizing. Oh, Kingsley, your message is not too clear. This well. Good evening, Mr. Leo. The topic is a sound one. Most couples don't plan together, mostly because one partner is committed to it while the other is less interested due to some factors such as lack of vision of their future or not understanding fully the importance of planning together for the future. This can be blamed on an incompatibility which the couple fail to pay attention to in the different areas of planning. People follow trivial issues in the name of love, and they allow key issues such as financial views and goals, kids goals, spiritual goals. These are the various areas which demand planning, and no wonder most couples end up failing at planning together in them. Hemley Martin, writing there. Good evening to all of you in the studio. Good evening to you too. This one says, man proposes, God disposes. Christian couples don't plan, they hear from God before they engage in any project. We are in a wall of uncertainty, and only those who hear from God can succeed. Prophet Benby is writing, okay, so there's no need to plan. The day God directs, you move. Yeah, but that's high-level spirituality now. Good evening to everyone in the studio. Just enjoying the program. Nkong Wilson Bankse, watching you guys from Mokolo in Marwa, the far north region. Mr. Lud, it's very necessary for couples to sit and make plans on goals, achievements, but most couples don't plan. Planning of goals firstly depends on the cordiality of the relationship. It also depends on how open they are to each other. Open right to the level of knowing who takes what salary base. Couples who don't communicate can't plan together. Also, planning is only possible if the man is a responsible man. There is no way a woman can take a man serious if throughout the previous years no seriousness has been exhibited in any plan. Mr. Liu, I always say wisdom is profitable to direct. A wise man allows his wife to control the money and runs the house because it frees him from stress. She won't ask you for money to do this or that, because she will be very aware there is no money when there isn't, since she is the bank. The man should just take the position of approving the woman's proposals. Tiku Felix is writing from Boya. Good evening to you, sir. I'll take this last and read. Hello, Mr. Leo. Good evening to you and to the men of God in the studio, sir. I have been dating my fiancé for a period of 3 years, and his plan is to buy his car instead of planning to go and get married to me. Sir, please help me out because I am tired of waiting. Sandra, good evening to you.
The simple thing is that he has not yet seen your value to rise up to the level of a car. So raise your value, upgrade. When you upgrade, he will see you as the value.
Why is it so funny, sir?
You know, the way she puts it, you know. Well, I think in such a case, it is good to know whether the man is ready to marry, because there are some people who want to, you know, to be in courtship or engagement with a woman for 5 years before they tie the knot. But I also want to say that as a woman, as a girl growing up, as a boy growing up, you must have some life goals with some timelines. Yes, when you have them, it will help you to be able to plan your life, because some people come into your life to put you in one new bell or one kundengi called marital relationship. There are times when in fact, there is no high level engagement that you can back out. If it's not going, back out and see what you can make.
If that guy sees you bringing in big money, he will not buy a car. He will go and pay your daddy because you know that money will come into marriage.
No, but that will be a poverty alleviation marriage. It wouldn't be that the man is marrying you because he loves you.
No, but you should bring in something.
Okay.
The man will take
Okay, good evening to you all in the studio. The program is very, very educative for I and my family. I'm following. Elvis is writing from Limbe. This one says, en tant que chrétien, la parole de Dieu nous enseigne de présenter tous nos projets à l'Éternel et d'attendre sa réponse avant d'agir. Ceci est valable aussi pour le couple, car devant Dieu, ils sont devenus une personne. Bonne soirée et bonne émission. Merci Samuel depuis Yachika. Bonsoir aussi à vous, Samuel. And this is where we draw the curtains for today's edition of Prime Art. Thank you for coming, Apostle.
Thank you very much, Mr. Leo. It was a wonderful time. I think it's a heated debate because even at the level of our councillors who are not even here, it's very hot inside there.
Okay. Thank you for coming. Bye-bye.
My almost pleasure, Mr. Leo. Good evening to you. Good evening to our viewers. Good night.
Okay. We want to thank you all who took time off to watch this edition of the program. Stay blessed. Bye-bye.